What's up, everyone? How you guys doing? So I actually wanted to record a video talking about my 5.2 4-star predictions. I'm not going to talk much about it because most of the characters were actually mentioned in the 5.1 predictions. So the 5.1 predictions, I predicted mostly on characters that I thought, because they had a long time since their reruns, that, Genshin was going to rerun them again. Unfortunately, out of the 6 that I predicted, only 1 came true, which was Kole, right? The main reason is because during that patch, there was a Sumeru event, and 4 out of the 6 characters that were there were Sumeru characters. The only 2 that were not were Kuki Shinobu and Singcho. And while after seeing the banners, and of course, while trying to make this video, something that I really realized is that Genshin has a 4-star issue. Not in the sense that the characters are bad. I think some of the 4-star characters, especially the newer ones, like Garming, are actually pretty cool. But I think that Genshin has a problem in rerunning these characters. I'm going to tell you my predictions right now, who are the 5 that will be running alongside Auroron. Personally, I think Lynette, because Lini is the brother, right? I think I'll be more surprised if she doesn't rerun. The other 4, I'm going to put in the name of Charlotte again, because Charlotte is the only Fontaine era, the 4.x era character that has not had a rerun. Like Garming and Chevrus and Cethos have had reruns and they were released much later. If they don't rerun her, Hoyo officially hits Cryo. The third one is fischl. Fischl last rerun in 4.1. I think it's going to be a rerun here, especially since 3, as some of you may not know, 4 elements getting buffed: Overload, Electrocharge, Superconduct, and Shatter. And Electros is involved in 3 of the 4 of them. So I think that fischl is high time for fischl making a rerun. She's very good. I made a video about her. I think she's a secret 5-star. But I also think that Chongyun and heizou are going to come back. All right, Chongyun has not made a rerun since 4.1 as well, and I think that with the new reactions buffs, I think that he could, they may put him in, just to sell the reactions. But at the same time, heizou, because heizou currently, if you were to look at the spreadsheet, heizou has had the longest time since a rerun, 25. All right, longest banner since 2025. He and Mika have overtaken Kave. People complained about Kave many months ago that he was not getting a rerun, right? And eventually got it. But the thing is that it's been a long time since heizou came, and I think that all in all, there is a little bit of a 4-star problem with reruns, right? When Auroron comes out in a few days' time, right? This was recorded on Sunday. So in a few days' time, Auroron will be the 39th character, the 39th 4-star character. If you were to divide it by 3, because each banner has 3 4-stars, it means that if Hoyoverse were to evenly distribute their characters, right? Each character should be expected to rerun every 6.5 patches, every 13 banners. Obviously, that isn't like 100% true, because there's a time when characters, there are only 10 characters, there's only a time when there are 20 characters, so the average was a lot lower. But if a character has not had a rerun since the Sumeru days, which currently we have 2 characters, which is Mika and heizou, I think that should ring alarm bells, right? For the amount of rotation that Genshin is doing. Now, I'm not saying that all 4-star characters should have a rerun because they're strong and everything, right? I think we can all admit one thing, that at base level, let me see C0 for example, at base level, 4-star characters will always be weaker than 5 stars, right? They have lower stats and they probably have lower multipliers in certain things, unless your name is Bennett, Xiangling, Singcho, and fischl, for example. That being said, one way to close the gap between a 4-star and 5-star is constellations, right? And I think that here's the thing, right? I think many players play the game for meta. I think many players play the game for they want to clear Spiral Abyss, they want to clear Imaginarium Theater. But, and especially, I think this is more prevalent with the release of Theater, right? I think that players want to play with more characters. And I think that, players want to play the characters that they like. And ultimately, these may involve 4-star characters as well, right? There are some content creators, like, let's talk about like the Jonathan, right? One of his most defining traits is that he's a very big fan of chongyun, right? Another popular Genshin created dish is a Kaya main. And obviously Kaya's in a weird spot because, he, Amber, and Lisa, they are only found on the standard banner. So that's a very complicated thing as well. But there's some players, that make their names by doing no-hit runs with Beidou. I think his name is Wallenstein, right? There are some people who are mad enough to change Barbara to a DPS. There are some people who, really want to use physical but don't have Eula, so they use Femine. And so what am I getting at in this video? I think that players should be allowed to play who they want. The problem is that many players would definitely want to maximize them out as much as possible, and they can do so by constellations. All right, constellations bring out higher powers in these 4-stars, right? And even many of the popular 4-stars, sorry, hitting the mic. The popular 4-stars in the game, right, are also very, I won't say dependent, but their playstyle changes a lot depending on their constellations, right? Fischl, very good at C0, but C6 Fischl is so good because higher damage, coordinated attacks, higher uptime, very, very nice, right? Xingqiu, do you guys remember playing with a C0 Xingqiu? C0 and C6 Xingqiu are two worlds apart, right? More rain swords, more damage, more defense shred, more hydro resistant shred, right? It's a very, very different game, right? If you have them as C0 and C6. The problem is, imagine if these two characters had the heizou treatment, right? Not only is it going to be bad for the fischl mains or the Xingqiu mains, but it's also going to be very bad for their overall standing in the game because the characters are locked out of their most optimal form, right? Their true potential, because they're locked out of it, right? They are not able to reach the heights, right? Imagine if Fischl had a rerun every 25 banners, right? If Fischl had that, she only had rerun 3 times, and not many people will be able to appreciate the strength of C6 Fischl, right? And on the other end of the spectrum, right, there are some characters where most of their potential is locked. Not only the character, but the team is locked behind a certain constellation. The most obvious one being Faruzan C6, right? Faruzan C6 is so strong for, especially with Shao and Wanderer teams. And having a C5 or a C6 Faruzan is a world difference, right? It's not only a world difference for the character itself, but also for the teammates, right? And I think that's a problem that Hoyo needs to solve, right? How? Unfortunately, I'm not able to give that answer because, I can say put 4 characters on the banner, but that means that you're splitting the odds of pulling the 4-star from a 33%, because you get, let's say if you get a 10 pull, you get a 4-star, instead of in between 30%, you're now dropping the rate down to 25, right? So it's going to be a little bit rough. because of that. No, Genshin could give out more 4-stars, right? I'm actually through certain things, I'm actually very surprised Genshin didn't give out a 4-star for Imaginarium Theater, because like for first time clear of Imaginarium Theater, for example, right? I don't always compare this to Honkai Star Rail, but Honkai Star Rail gives you a free links for completing Pure Fiction for the first time, and you also get a free Shrei for completing Apocalyptic Shadow, right, for the very first time. And I'm very surprised that they did not do that for Imaginarium Theater. And I think these are some ways, like obviously once every few patches, Genshin gives out a free 4-star from the event. We just had a free what's the name? We had a free Candice from the 5.1 event. We had a free Kirara from 4.8. And those things are nice. But with the amount of 4-star characters that we've had, it does feel a little bit slow, right? And it's always, we always say it's a trap to pull for a 4-star, because you might get it early, you might pull for a 5-star that you don't want, and it might ruin everything. For especially players who do not spend. And I think that overall, there are some things that Hoyo definitely needs to look into. Like I said, the availability of 4-star characters. And it's always going to be a balancing act, right? Because what if they create more characters? Some people will say, why don't they just create more characters that are optimal at C0? And we have characters like that, right? Bennett, even though C1 is like his best constellation, C0 is just a little bit right? But and it's still an early constellation that you can buy, right? What's this called? Not fischl, sorry. So Bennett, Yao Yao is not a character that I think is functional at C0. Chevrus is functional at C0. Kirara is C2, which is, I guess it's early enough. I say it's like C2 and above, right? Are early constellations. But like characters like Noelle, C6. Yanfei C4, I think is a bit ridiculous, but whatever. But yeah, so you can kind of see, right, that that it's a balancing act, because people always complain about Bennett, like, oh, Bennett is too strong. What if Malvika comes out and Malvika is a side grade to Bennett, right? Obviously there's a meme. Or Malvika is a side grade to Xiangling, right? So there's always a power gap in between, but Hoyo has to definitely like balance this power gap, right? Because they have to make the 4-stars viable to a certain level, and while also keeping the premium of the 5-stars, right? Obviously, this is not a power creep talk, right? I'm not saying that 4-stars, C6 4-stars should power creep C0 5-stars. I'm not saying that, right? But I do think that there has to be a reason to use a 4-star, all right? Even if they're not the most optimal, right? Even if they're not like the fastest clear, but there should be a reason why a player will want to use Lisa in the aggravate team. There should be a reason why people want to use Gaming on a Vate team, even though for this you could probably use Cloren, for this you could probably use Hu Tao or Alakino, right? Even though they will not be probably as strong as Alakino or Cloren, but there shouldn't be the player who's playing them shouldn't feel salty or shouldn't feel bad of playing these characters. And I think that that's where, as I mentioned, the constellations come in to bridge the gap. And all in all, I think that the constellation problem or the rerun problem is something that is going to be is something that's, let's say, hard to fix, right? Because some solutions will create a bigger problem. And I think that probably Genshin, I mean, let's be real. Genshin is not really the most generous company in terms of giving out free stuff. Like, it took 4 years to give out a free 5-star, but maybe this is a sign of the change in the company, right? Maybe Dawei wants to change the Genshin impact experience. And I think that instead of just having a banner for Liu Yue, right, which first and foremost, the Liu Yue banner, right, always features a new character, and most people pull for the new character anyways, right? So yeah, right, people are not going to pull for like Ling Guang when Letter Right 5.4 comes or whatever, right? I think that I think they should do that more often. Give players the choice, right? Give players an option to like, oh, you know, like, oh, there's some free stuff, you know, I have a choice between, let's just say, Corley, Candice, Charlotte, and Femine. And you know what? Maybe have that more often, you know, right? Maybe I want to say give like free characters every patch, but and as I mentioned, I don't always bring them back to Honkai Star Rail. Honkai Star Rail always had events where instead of getting a specific character, you can pick the character that you want, right? They've had it in that mixology event in Penacony, and some of the characters, like they had Gwen Iphone, they had Pela, they had Asta, and these are characters that, you know, do well with better eidolons, right? And I think that's something that they could do, right? Give players the choice, right? Instead of just shoehorning, because let's say 5.1, right? I appreciated it because I got a C4 Candice, but there might be players with a C6 Candice and they're like, oh shit, another copy, another dupe, right? So I think that it's something that Genshin should really look into, because Auroron is not going to be the last 4-star character. You might get 1 or 2 more 4 stars, right? Lantern Right, maybe. And even if it's not Lantern Right, we might get a new 4-star, 1 or 2 new 4 stars in this Netherlands region, and we might get another few in the in Shashnaya, and eventually it's just going to be very, very compact. It's going to be a rerun issue. We've already seen this with the 5 stars. You know, we've seen Nivulet rerun twice, while Risley has not gotten his first rerun. With Shenhe, the funniest thing about Shenhe is that, I might talk about this, right? Shenhe last rerun when Honkai Star Rail and ZZZ were not even released yet. And I think that happening to the 4 stars, where arguably they are more dependent on their reruns than the 5 stars, I think it's a big problem. But what do you guys think? Am I exaggerating? Do you think that we should just kill all the 4 stars and just use all 5 stars in our roster? Let me know in the comments down below, and let me know your thoughts on this current 4-star situation, and if you have any solutions, right? I do think that for me, Hoyo just need to be more generous, right? Give more during events, combat events, right? Release more combat events and give like an option of like 5 characters, right? I think that'd be nice. So I think that's that for this video. Do note that I will be away, so the next few videos that you see are actually pre-recorded. Yeah. I'll be back on Friday though, so I won't be here to talk about the release of the 5.2 banners, and also and I'll probably talk about that when I'm back. Right, I'm Singaporean. I need to serve my my duty to the country. I need to go back for my reservist and in-camp training. So yeah, I'll stay safe, and I hope you guys stay safe too until the next. Oh, by the way, before I always plug this in, I stream live on Twitch, link down here below. I'll see you guys in the next video. Hopefully I make some more of these videos, you know, to tell you how I feel about the game, because, you know, you guys come in and view the videos and not like share these things with you guys. Until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, be good to yourselves and the people around you, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.